Hi, welcome to our video series on Microsoft Excel, what we also call a spreadsheet, okay, which is basically just an application that we use to store, organize, and analyze data, and ultimately get to represent the data into graphs or charts. Okay, it's such a very nice application. So I'm going to introduce you to some basic features on Microsoft Excel as a build up to what we have already acquired in MS Word. Okay, to start off, as you can see, our spreadsheet structure is a relation like structure. In simple words, I'm saying that it's comprised of a table like structure in which we make use of columns labeled or identified here on top, columns labeled with these column headers, as well as rows. Okay, so if you look at this interface, it's comprised of several blocks, what we refer to as cells. Okay, in other words, we are referring to the intersection of a particular column and a row. Okay, how do you read out such a cell? This cell will then be read out as what? Starting with a column ID. In this case, it will be age 3. Okay, you read out the column name as well as the corresponding row ID. Okay, this will be age 3. This one will be cell age 8. This one will be cell K6. So that is what we call a cell. Okay, and moving down with my outline here, I have cell reference. Cell reference is basically just the name, like I previously called them out in identifying cells. So the name of a cell, like I pointed out, H3, K6, like I have it here, this is the name, the address given to a particular cell, which in other words, or as per the rules of our spreadsheet, is referred to as what? As a cell reference. So in other words, we're saying cell referencing is a way of addressing or naming these particular blocks, or a name given to a particular cell. Okay, so that is basically what cell reference is all about, and this is very important when you get to doing calculations and referring to any of the content contained in these particular cells. You will be making use of what? Of cell reference, not the actual values contained in a cell, such as 5 in this one, but you refer to this cell as what? As cell G3. Moving on with the name box, like I said, I'll take you through the different features of our spreadsheet. The name box here, if you look at this structure, I'm assuming that we are all comfortable with this entire interface called the ribbon. Okay, I'm not going to take much time on that, so I will continue with the name box. Okay, which is new to the spreadsheet, of course. So a name box is this block right here. If you point on it, it gives you a call out that this is what? A name box. Okay, so if you don't know how to refer to a cell, you may point on it. The cell reference will be pointed out inside what? The name box. Okay, then we move on with what we call a formula bar. Formula bar, you find it on, it's this long rectangular bar here, which is primarily to display the value or the content of each cell. Okay, it will give you what is contained in a cell. If you click on cell G3, it will give you 5. Okay, if you click on cell A1, it will give you cell. If you click on A8, it gives you zoom slider. Now, how about having a formula? If there is a formula contained in a particular cell, such as this, let me just put up another value here, such as that. Then say I want to calculate. You'll get to how to do calculations later on in this video series. I'm just giving a quick outlook on that. So if you are to add these two numbers, I'll say that you apply an equal sign, then you say that you are adding what? 5 to 8. Okay, don't get confused with that. You'll get to this later on. Okay, if I press enter and say I go to where I have my answer here in I3, you will get to see that it does not give me the actual value, but it gives me what? The actual formula, the formula that brings about what? That particular answer. Okay, so that is basically what a formula bar is, to display either the content of a cell if there is no formula contained inside. Okay, moving on with a worksheet. But before I get to a worksheet, if you open up a new Microsoft Excel such as this, we call it a spreadsheet, or alternatively it may be referred to as what? As a workbook. So please don't get confused when they talk of a workbook. They refer to a workbook, spreadsheet. They are talking about the same thing. Okay, then so within a workbook you may have multiple worksheets. Okay, you say you are organizing data. By the way, this spreadsheet can be used for multiple things. You can draw up your budget, you can draw up your timetable, you can do your monthly projections, you can record any type of data, you can draw any kind of tables you want. So now, say you're drawing up your monthly budgets, you have months from January until what? December. So with that, you may opt to have what? Multiple worksheets. Say you named your workbook as what? As my budget for 2020. So now, to create monthly budgets, instead of creating different workbooks, you do it in one budget workbook. Okay, and then you create multiple sheets. Okay, where do you do that? Multiple worksheets, you go where it's written sheet here, sheet 1 here. Okay, you then provided this plus sign here. This is to allow you to do what? To create new sheets. If you point on that, it gives you automatically a new sheet. So you can see this is a total new page. It doesn't mean our data is lost. We just moved on to a different sheet. We can alternate between these two sheets. Okay, go back to sheet 1. Okay, you go back to sheet 2. If you want another one, you create a third one. Okay, or so that you work with ease, you may opt to do what? To rename them. You right click on sheet 1. It gives you some options to play around. You may insert another sheet. You may delete a sheet. We want to rename our sheet here, so you name it to say April budget. April budget. Okay, you click elsewhere, that will be affected. Okay, then you move on. If you want to rename sheet 2, you do the same. Okay, so that is basically how you work with different worksheets. Moving on to view options. The view options, you find them right here. What you get here is what we call a normal view, which we normally use to enter data on a normal basis. Okay, in simple terms. Okay, whereas the page layout, this is to show you how your document, your spreadsheet will actually look on a printout once you print it out. Okay, on a normal page, when once printed, that is how it will look like. Okay, but of course you need to play around with the page, set up your printing options, maybe set all these grid lines, otherwise they will not be displayed. But yes, you'll get to all these things as we progress. Okay, and then the other one is the page break preview. The page break preview, this allows you to set different locations on your page. You might be working with so much data that it might protrude to other pages, but you want to restrict it to maybe specific pages, like to say page 1 or to any other pages. So if it's protruding, then you may opt to do what? To play around with that. Somebody will take you on with these page break options later on. I will go back to the normal preview. Okay, then we move on to what we call a zoom slider. This will allow you to perhaps resize your spreadsheet, make it more visible, perhaps during presentations such as that. You zoom it out and in and out to make it smaller. Okay, so that was basically the introductory note on Microsoft Excel. I will see you guys in the next videos. I hope you enjoy yourself. Take care during this COVID-19. Thank you.